Just talk to me. All right. Should I start this now?
So,
Did you start yours?
so we're presenting chapter 3. I'm not gonna call y'all out because I know no one read it, so no use in asking. But
Okay, so our chapter was character and education, but a better title would have been personality and education, because your character is your personality. And so, teaching is more of an art than a science. And the chapter said you are what you teach. So whatever you're teaching, you want to try to play the character of what you're teaching. So an example, kind of like the last group said, if you're like a chemistry teacher, then you can dress up in a lab coat and some goggles and like make the students really believe like you're a real chemist, and then they'll believe you and be more engaged in the learning. So, but to understand how a student learns, we have to understand how to create and use like educational structures. So the 3 types of learning are visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. So we all know visual is when you see like a picture or read like a word. Auditory is when you hear better learning, and kinesthetic is when you learn better by like movement. So we're going to do a little activity.
Yeah.
And
so we're gonna do an example first, but y'all are each gonna get a little scrap piece of paper, and y'all have pens and pencils and whatnot. And so essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to hold up a word. It might be an animal, it might be an emotion, it might be something else. And I want y'all to do the first thing that comes to mind, whether it be copy the word down and write a small definition, draw a picture of the word, or that would be visual, or you could get up or you can make the sound. So if it's an animal, the sound the animal might make or their environment. And if it's, and then you can do the kinesthetic. So you can get up and do a movement if that's what you think of. And it's important to note that although you may know yourself already, like you're a visual learner. Like I know personally, I'm a visual learner, but not everybody is 100% anything. So it's possible that you could be 80% visual, 20% auditory. So just for whatever the word is, do the first thing that comes to mind. Don't be embarrassed. If you want to do a kinesthetic, like, go ahead, y'all. Like, that's y'all. But we're going to do an example first. So if we were to hold up, so Kat's going to be our lovely. So if we were to do the word, so say I say the word frog. If the first thing that came to mind was visual, she could either write on the board. She could either write on the board, frog, amphibian, green, tongue, whatever. Or she could draw a picture of a frog. All ways to learn what a frog is. If she was an auditory learner, maybe the first thing that comes to mind would be
ribbit, ribbit, ribbit.
And lastly, if she was a kinesthetic, more of a kinesthetic-driven learner, her first reaction would maybe be to start hopping around, taking her tongue out to catch a fly. So for y'all, we're going to hold up the words and just do whatever is first.
Yeah, don't afraid to be loud.
Okay, so for everyone that drew a picture or anything, or in the process, what did you draw a picture of? Or what did you write?
I just scribbled a little chicken because I like to doodle, and that's just how I learn by doodling or just doing little objects that represent the word. So
okay, awesome. Anybody else?
I heard a sound. Did anybody produce sound? So,
Yeah, raise your hand.
what did you do?
Don't be shy.
Okay, so maybe you think when you think of a chicken, that's the first thing you think of. And did anybody? I didn't see. Did anybody do some kinesthetic?
I saw some little move.
You did that. You did the chicken dance. I like it. Okay, so y'all can save some space on your paper if you think you're gonna write. But the next one is anger. All right. Did anybody switch from the first one?
I definitely made a face.
Yeah, you made a face.
That was my...
So that might have been,
Okay.
So you can draw that. Like just the
Maybe you're
smiley
hearing
faces
them
and tears.
wail. Did anybody switch from the first two or to that
Do a
one?
different one, yeah.
So y'all maybe
So-
seeing that maybe emotion, like the words that describe emotions, are maybe you're reacting differently than animals.
Ready?
Sorry.
Okay, so that could be auditory, right? Okay. Anybody else want to give an example of what they thought of?
I drew a picture of a whale.
Yeah.
Like,
Me
it's
too.
Oh yeah, with the water.
Yeah. It's like the emoji.
I drew a
Yeah.
I drew a picture of the ocean.
Okay.
So
Okay.
it's environment,
Yeah.
picture of the environment.
I thought about like the whales, like you know the fish, the whale.
Yeah.
I'm really hungry.
So you thought of the food whales. I like it.
Ready?
I feel a lot of scribbling.
Yeah, I'm assuming everybody drew for that one.
Nobody wants to do a little demonstration of what a tornado would be.
Just turn around.
And I guess sound maybe.
So now you kind of like have an idea.
So in this we had two animals, two feelings, and then like a natural disaster. So maybe y'all. So I know some of y'all changed. When you saw the animal, you were more likely to either demonstrate or draw a picture, or write the word. Whereas for the emotion, you maybe saw somebody doing it and you acted that out just out of instinct, or you thought of yourself and you were angry in the past. So that just goes to show that although some of your students may be dominant visual learners, they still might have some auditory or kinesthetic aspects to them. And that kind of
So now we're just gonna kind of totally change the pace of things. So the goal as a teacher is, to give your students a successful learning experience. However, a lot of teachers have this thing called personal paranoia. They think, I'm not doing it right. So in the book, he kind of gave an example of the short line and the long line. So the long line is, how you're supposed to teach. So there's more people in the long line, but if you go to the shorter line, you're kind of thinking out of the box as to what you want to do. And he says that that's a way to get over your personal paranoia. So while you're thinking about this, you have to think, do I really reach all of my students? So maximum learning occurs when we focus on dramatic elements of character. So again, character is the personality of the teacher and the student. So you have to engage your students to learn the material, basically. I mean, who wants to sit there and, just lecturing and I'm not doing it. Nobody wants to do that. So we want to focus on that personality stuff. And we also need to adapt our teaching to different learning styles. Because, again, not all students learn the same way. So if you're teaching strictly visuals, then the kinesthetic learner that sits across the room, you're not going to reach that student. There's also a bias. So when you're evaluated in your classroom, the evaluators tend to look through their teaching and learning styles. Just because that's what they're used to, that's what they do. That's it. So you need to look out for that and say, did you look at it from my perspective as to how I'm doing it? So then, the solution is to understand the teaching and learning styles for the individual, and you use the learning styles as a base. So how am I going to plan my lesson to fit all of my students? And you also develop an understanding of individual preference through Jung's 4 scales and the Myers-Briggs. Yes.
Alright. So we're going to kind of transition to that part now. So just explain.
Okay. So this is trying to figure out what your character is. So I don't know if y'all remember at the beginning of the class we did, or at the beginning of the semester we did like learning
y'all all know your learning style? Does anybody not know? Okay, so it kind of is separated into 4 categories. The first is are you outwardly or inwardly focused? And that would just be kind of like how you think mostly. Do you think out loud or inside of yourself, not in your head? I don't know. So basically, if you're an extrovert, introvert, and most of y'all probably know that just because you're adults now. And then, how do you prefer to make decisions? Do you base it more on thinking or feeling? You probably kind of know that too. And then, how do you prefer to take in information? Is it more intuitive or sensing? That one's a little more complicated. Sensing would be focused on reality and facts and details, whereas intuition would be imagine the possibilities, look at the big picture, the long-term scale. And then how do you prefer to live your outer life? Judging or perceiving, that doesn't mean judging people. It's more judging would be settle matters, make plans. Perceiving would be more spontaneous and leave options open. The way I look at that is kind of time is a long, like I'm a perceiving person, so when I look at time, it's a long-term thing. So if I have a due date, I don't really make plans as to like, today I'm going to do this, tomorrow I'm going to do that. I know I'm going to get it done before the due date, whereas a J would more likely be like, okay, well today I'm going to do half of it, tomorrow I'll do half of it, that way it gets done in time. So if y'all don't know, take a minute to just kind of think and write down, or just, you don't even have to write it down, just think about what you are. And when you're done, we're going to move the desk out of the way and do a little activity with this. So y'all can just move the desk. We need, just move them along the edge.
Just know where your letters are and then where your
Does anybody need more clarification
Or you
on
can
letters?
hold on.
Yeah, so you don't have to write it down, just know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, just write that up like E or I. So you're gonna have 4 letters. You're gonna have this. One of these 2, one of these 2, one of these 2.
Alright guys. So what we're gonna do is have y'all ever like I kinda call this the blob game. So if you can maybe picture a blob, I'm a visual person obviously, so if you can picture a blob, we're gonna start off as one big blob in the middle of the classroom. So kind of just get close, we're all friends here. And you can just get as close or as not close as you want. And then, so right now, you're like humanity, like you're everyone. And then as we name each section, y'all are going to separate into your own little personality types. And in the end, you're going to see like how many different personality types there are. Obviously, there's not that many people here, so it won't be that diverse, but we'll see. So like first, for example, we're going to split up into introverts and extroverts. So the blob is going to separate and just form 2 smaller blobs into introverts and extroverts. So why don't extroverts go that way, introverts go this way?
So extroverts on this side, introverts on this side.
Okay.
All right.
So if you're an extrovert, you're talkative, outgoing, and fast-paced. So how would you deal with your students?
And or can you give us an example of a time when you were a student and your extroversion was either a strength or a weakness? But for me, it was also a weakness.
I got close with my hand down, but
Yes.
So you
Yeah.
answered too many questions.
yeah,
so
then you
don't
get
put
to
your
hear
hand
from
down.
someone else.
So from your experience, how would you treat your students who would do that, basically?
I'm like a group type person, so it's mainly like interactions with me with them, and it wouldn't really be that. And if one person was like overpowering the rest, then I'd kind of be like putting the introverts together, maybe, and then putting all the extroverts together, like just kind of playing it out.
Anything else from up to we have such a we're so heavy on the extrovert side? Anything else?
Well, I know, like for me, when I was in school, presentations were never really my thing, but I always loved to talk and like teach people. So like when I got nervous, I would talk really fast.
I know being an extrovert is hard to see why an introvert doesn't like want to like branch out and do all that. And so like as a teacher, I guess you have to be aware of like I feel like I would analyze it because like hey, introvert.
was an example of a teacher that walks into a cafeteria and sees a kid sitting alone. And as a teacher, you can't just assume automatically that kid is like suffering from depression or any of that, or like being picked on, because he or she may just be an introvert and just likes to spend lunch alone. So yeah. So now from our lovely introvert side, do y'all have any? Well, I guess it's kind of bad to like ask introverts to talk, but do y'all have any examples if you'd like to share of how in school maybe people perceived you as like sad when you really were just?
Yeah, like a lot of people think that like introverts only want to be alone, but that's not like true. Like I feel like
Yeah.
being with people and talking to people.
I think we just do better by like I don't know how to say, but like getting that information and taking it in by ourselves without talking to anybody. I think we learn better without any distractions. And also, like I remember when I was little in like middle school, my teacher, I loved the way she did this. Like we had to do this project, and she did like 3 ways. She did either we could choose like write an essay, do a play about it, or do a PowerPoint. And since I wasn't really comfortable talking to like everybody, I did the essay portion, and I actually got an A. And like I feel like if I would have done the presentation part or something, like maybe I would have got like a B or a C, you know. So I think doing that as a teacher is really important, because not every, like you guys said, not everybody is an extrovert.
Yeah, that's a really good strategy
Yeah,
for teachers
that's
to
a good
give their
example.
students like options of how they want to do their
And the way it's been explained a lot to me is like extroverts think out loud, whereas introverts think, and that's also kind of like an extreme example, but like introverts kind of think before they speak. Not to say that extroverts only think before they or speak before they think. So it's just that like sometimes y'all are just too slow to say the answer because y'all are just like thinking like, is that like really
We're just like
deeply?
analyzing it, like soaking in the
Exactly.
And one more question. How would you guys deal with an extroverted student? Like just an example.
So like I said with the questions, just give them more time than others to express themselves.
Okay. Yeah. Good job.
All right, so now we're gonna split up into 4 blobs. So our extrovert side, y'all are gonna split up into T's So ES's
Oh, that's true.
or ENs, and then your I's are gonna be INs and IS's, and y'all can do like we'll do EN, ES, IN, IEs.
So in kind of
N come towards us, S move away.
and S is go to these. So in
Yeah, that one is often
if
like
you're
I'm split. I'm
imagining
kind of close.
possibilities, big
But just
picture.
try to pick one.
S is if you like focus on reality, like more
Just
facts.
because all right.
Yeah.
So it appears all of our introverts are more sensing, so they focus more on details and facts, and we don't have any INs. That's interesting. And most of our extroverts came towards being more intuitive, looking at the imaginative, big picture side of it.
So why do you guys think that extroverts would be more big picture?
I think that's like opposite in a way, because introverts like think so much about things. Like, so I would think that they would think more about the future rather than like the here and now and like what's really going on. But maybe they pay more attention to the facts and details, and we just kind of look at like, okay, yeah.
And do y'all think you have an idea of why maybe introverts would be more focused on facts and details rather than the big picture?
I think we're very like I don't know. Well, I'm very organized, so I like to have everything like in order and in sequence. So like the detail part is very important to me.
So now we're going to split each fourth into T's and F's, so thinkers and feelers. So I want to do up here, I want to do ENT and then ENF and then EST, ESF, and then so
Basically from your T, like
your
from
T
the-
stay where you are if you're come towards the board, and then if your F kind of start making your way towards the middle, and then if you're EST, so between y'all two, like, or y'all? Yes. So y'all stay towards the wall. And then for y'all, are y'all all the same?
Okay.
I'm probably like the only one yet.
Your
I'm F.
ISF. Okay, so ISF, go towards the wall. IST, come more towards here. I don't have my here, so okay. Alright.
Okay, so T.
Okay, so you're by yourself.
Yeah. C, right?
Okay, so because there's more groups, I won't be able to talk to all of y'all, but yeah.
Alright, so now we're going to split again into the J and P. So if you're J,
So,
you like to settle matters and make plans and
I'll just stay here
So what
because
do you-
I'm J.
J.
ENTJ, and then between y'all, are y'all all J's and P's? Okay, so
Okay, so
form a
why
little
don't we
group
do
between yourselves for like P's and J's.
This is a P.
You're all P. Okay.
Okay, and then what are you? You're EST. P. Okay, so I think you're by yourself.
No, she's E.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, y'all right. And then did y'all two split up or y'all still together? Okay, so now y'all all three are separated. So this kind of just goes to show, like, even in the beginning, how the big extroverts started together and the introverts started together. Eventually, everyone kind of split apart to a certain extent. So you can't rely on one aspect of personality to judge your students. You kind of have to go through everything because the way they perceive and the way they see time, the way they think about things, the way they express themselves is going to be different across the board.
It just kind of goes to show, like, this is all the different learning styles you're going to have in the classroom.
And in total, there's 16 total learning types.
Yeah.
So with this few people, we're not going to reach all of them. And there's actually some pretty rare ones. And so, yeah. Are there any ENFPs that y'all are? All right. Do y'all have any questions or comments or
Anybody want to share?
anybody want to share experiences?
I was gonna say, I just said, like, I was an ENFJ every time I took this quiz and, like, all different kinds of websites. And then last year, starting school, I changed to an ENFP. And it's like the people around you and, like, your environment, like, how you handle school differently, everything like that, you can change letters, like, very easily. So now I'm P rather than J.
And I know you were on the fence for T and or S and N.
Yeah, we had to take it for like the orientation staff, and the director didn't believe that I was a 50-50 split, so they made me take it 3 times. So out of the 5 times taking it, I'm a dead 50-50 split.
And like I'm about like a 45, 55 split on that one too. But everything else is like super chill.
Where do you think this is?
Just Google Myers-Briggs.
There's one like test online. It's called 16personalities.com, and they'll give you like how you are in relationships, how you are at work, how you are with children. Like those tell you everything.
And it's very interesting. Like you can look it up, and they have different fictional characters, and so like they have one. It's like Harry Potter, and it's split into 16, so you can see like which character you relate to. Just Google image search. It's pretty fun. I mean, I guess it's kind of nerdy, but I do like it. And it's cool. And like for example, like ENFP. I remember when I first did it, it was like all at the extreme like, right side, I think, and it was said to be like one of the worst students, like worst like typical like students, like bad at focusing, bad at being on time and stuff. But we're on college. So. Well, y'all can put the desk back, and I guess class is dismissed.
Thanks, guys.